Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to go back to the airport and try and finish this thing off. Right, so before we get started in earnest, I'll just go through a few of the amendments that we did from last time. I've added some of the large 8x16 tiles that I got in the last brick haul just on the outside. We'll be tiling the rest of that during today's video. But one on the outside was just a subtle change to the tower, and it was actually just to use some inverted bricks underneath there. You can kind of just see them, and that was just to raise the main body of the control tower slightly higher, so we could see that checked stripe sticker on the main cylinder pieces. So that was a really good suggestion, so thank you very much for that one. And then other suggestions, if we take off the lid, which you can do one-handed, and it's quite a good method actually. Inside I've removed the newsstand, which was kind of in that gap, and that's to keep up the illusion of the facade, allowing people to go further into the building through the wall. And you can see I've added an arrow and a 2 sign, much like this is gate 1 with a 1 sign. That is the 2 from the same set, the City Corner set, and the arrow itself is from the oft-used sticker pack, which is still available on Lego's website. Use my link. So it suggests now that we've got 2 gates at minimum, and the other one is through the wall somewhere there. And I've just added a person to collect the tickets who works for the airline as well. And I've got an adventurer here who's getting on the plane to go to some distant land. So thanks very much for a combination of those suggestions. And then a couple of people suggested that I actually elevate these seats off the floor as they put them. I don't know where they keep seats. I always keep my seats on the floor in real life. But they meant raise them just by 1 plate. And I suppose that looks a little better. It seems to me a bit of a waste of plates, but nonetheless, I'll go with it. Thank you very much for that. So those are our amendments for that building. In fact, I've got a couple of changes that I've done to the subway, just briefly. I've added a couple of eyes to the floor. You'll see one there and one there. That was a suggestion. And I did that because I got them on the last haul. I also got that pickaxe as well, so I've added that to this guy on the end. And I've also fixed Winston's hair to give it a more sort of curly look that it had in a later version. So that was a good suggestion that a couple of people made as well. Great, so on to today's work after whistling through those. Don't want another really long video. I wonder if everyone got to the end of my hour-long, pretty much, recap of the whole city. And if you didn't, and you just sort of watched the first few minutes, do go to the very end of that, because this whole setup here is lit up using a UV blacklight, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So if you haven't seen that, just go back to the city tour last video and check out the last few minutes, because it is worth it. So on to today's stuff. I'm going to put the lid back on, and I think the first thing is just to finish off the tiling. So you can see where it's going to go right the way up to. So I need to put some tiles in that gap here, all along there, and all around here as well. And then we can start fencing things in. Now, I know this isn't a brick haul, but the break for Halloween did allow me the chance to actually use the Pick-a-Brick service from Lego, not Bricks and Pieces, the Pick-a-Brick one, in order to get another order, which was all of the tiles, or at least the tiles that I didn't have, for this tiling project. So you can see here, we've got mainly dark bluish grey for the aircraft apron. We've also got some yellow ones to finish off all of the markings near the plain wheels, a couple of red, couple of white, and lots of tan as well, which is going to be the main colour outside the front of the airport itself. So hopefully I calculated correctly which ones I needed and how many of each, but they're going to help me do this task. So yeah, another, half kilo of tiles? Right, so there's the tiling done on that side. Looking pretty bland, so I added this white stripe all around the kind of inside edge. I'm not sure if that's really accurate or does anything in particular. Might even be vastly wrong, but I'm not sure I'm bothered at that point. It just breaks it up a little bit. And we've got our baggage car, and two of its carriages. And I suppose with the facade wall being the way it is, that could suggest that there are many more baggage cars after this in a great big long snake. And maybe it doesn't have enough room for a turning circle, but there's only so much we can do with this space, so I'm not too worried about that. And I don't think I've got enough room for the cargo conveyor as well, which I was going to stick on that side. And this just lifts up to feed a cargo plane with cargo. You put the packages on the bottom and it will roll up that way into the plane, and presumably vice versa. But maybe it could be on the street. I don't know if they'd ever go on the street, but it could be going from one part of the airport to another. So I'll leave it there for now. Onto the other side then. So this is all complete with all of the features that people have been telling me. We've got the chocks around the wheels. We've got the yellow lines, which the plane wheel would drive up to, depending on the model. And it's perfectly aligned with one of those sets of yellow lines. So that's good for this plane. We've got the red box around the jetway kind of wheels and area. And then we've got a dash line here just for something secure. And the vehicle that pulled in the plane, the little tug thing, is just turning around and going away with the follow me written on the back of it. We've got an Octane man coming in, and he's just popped up the GPU, ground power unit, to power the plane while it's got its engines off. And then we've got co-pilot Jang over here, who's looking up at the plane as well. And I've added a secondary radar kind of setup. And that was part of the set 3181 passenger plane. And I really like it, apart from the fact that its dish is very similar to the one we've got on the control tower. And another set from the same era, 3182 in fact, didn't have this. Just destroy that while I take it off. But it had one of these more flat bar ones with kind of a ball on the other sort of limb as well. So I was told what the difference between these two types of radar was, and I've immediately forgotten because I've got a lot to keep in my head. And it won't go all the way around because of where the wall is, but obviously the wall isn't there in the city, so that's fine. And it's a bit near the plane, I'll grant you that, but again, we haven't got much space really. So I think that adds a bit more texture and contrast to the area, so I like that as well, and it's different from the one on the roof. So this white one, we'll just have to think of somewhere else to use that, I think. Then another feature was a windsock. Now, I'm not sure if modern airports have these at all anymore. They've probably got much more sophisticated equipment. But all of the old Lego airports, like Century Skyway 6597, used to have one of these. And they've got a lovely 2x2x2 cone piece with these stripes on. So I thought I'd put that on this side just for variety. And I'd have the cone pointing towards my harbour, because the wind in my city is going towards the harbour from everywhere. So if you see some flags or whatever rippling in the breeze, they should be going in that direction. Or if not, give me a shout. So yeah, I think that's looking good. All that side complete. All that side complete. Looking very tidy indeed. Very, very cramped, but you know I like it like that. So that's absolutely fine by me. So I think the next thing is to get on with doing the wall to keep it all in, or rather keep all the people out. So onto the security fencing then. And my first idea was to do kind of a combination of great big walls made out of bricks, white bricks, just to make the distances right. And these wonderful fence pieces that were part of only one set actually, Dino Defence HQ 5887. And there were 3 fences like this piece in that set. But because it's the only set that actually had it in, I've only managed to accumulate 5 so far. And that is over quite a long period. And with no shortage of trying, I can tell you. So I don't think I'm going to have enough to do the entire outside of my airport with these. And it's a shame really, because I think they're just about the right height to sort of suggest that a minifigure couldn't really get over them. They've also got these studs actually on the fronts, which enable us to put on things like this modified tile with clip, so I can add some barbed wire hoops or something like that to the outside. So it is a shame that I'm not able to use those. So I had to go back to the drawing board. And I do know there's another one that's very similar, but I only managed to get 2 of those over the same period, so they're even harder to get. So what I think I'm going to be using was an idea from the recent Jurassic Park set, which used these pieces. So I'll take them out of the bag, which I put them in when I got them, just to keep them nice and straight. But it's these very bendy and very thin cables. And as I say, they were used on a lot of the Jurassic Park sets as part of the fencing there to keep dinosaurs out of the same area that people are in, obviously. So I thought I could use these to make a fence for my airport as well. Now, it's not going to be the most secure looking, not as secure looking as this beast, because a minifigure would have trouble getting through those holes and he might cut himself up while he was doing it. And if I use these, it is going to be sort of relatively large gaps in between that somebody could get through. So it might be something like that, for example. But I think, hey ho, it's only Lego. So I'll use these instead and we'll not worry about the fact that technically a minifigure might be able to pole vault over it or something like that. Good, good. And if we're lucky, we might be able to get some barbed wire onto there somehow anyway. But we do need an access point for the employees, such as this guy, to get into their work area. So I made this, which is essentially a coded door that says restricted area, authorized minifigures only. And that was part of that superhero airport set that we've seen quite a few stickers from. And that's set 76051. But there we go. So I think that will form a nice doorway to get into the restricted area if you know the code. And I'll probably put one of the workmen on the outside just to give that some emphasis, something like that. And then I can start the security fence from this corner, and I'll have one section to a corner here and another section to the wall here. And on the other side of the airport over there, I think it will be 2 sections horizontally and the same one span going to the wall there. So I'm going to get on with doing that. And the way I'm going to do it is by stringing them between these modified bricks on the back of short pillars. So yeah, I'm going to get on with doing that. Okay, so there's the fences in. I think they're looking pretty good actually. We've got 1, 2, 3 sections here, with the third one being very close to the railway works. And that's good. Keeps the area really dense and busy, which is what I like. But yeah, we've got the low wall. And then on top of the wall, we've got one of these danger sort of hazard signs for electrocution, with an electric bolt on them. They actually came from the same Dino Defense HQ set, 5887. And that's just to suggest that these fences are actually electrified. Because if I can't have barbed wire, and they aren't that tall, then maybe the threat of being electrocuted is enough to keep people from trying to climb them. And I know that isn't realistic, but, you know, this is Lego, isn't it? So it's good fun. And maybe I should have a skeleton or something like that sort of touching the electrified fence, and you know, he's obviously all that's left of what the last person who tried to climb over. So that's good. And as you'll see, the wire is quite taut, and that's because it's exactly the right distance for the wire pieces. And that was why this area had to be this exact shape. So when people were saying, oh, push it out a bit further for this or move it for that, I really couldn't, because it was a very rigid system indeed, in that I could only have 2 along and 1 back on that side. And on this side, well, a bit bigger because of this door, but 1 along and 1 back on that side as well. So we've got the same setup there, with the low wall, and then 2 of these wires going to these posts. I think the posts are quite good. They've got some studs on the side, sort of technique going on there, just to make them a bit more interesting. So yeah, looking good. Let's pan out and look at all of it together. See, now at least it does look like that is an airport, and what's in is in and what's out is out, and that's how it should be. Oh, and you can see that I've just started to add some tiles out the front. And the first one I've added is these compass points, northwest, east and south. And they're from the Atlantis treasure game, 3851. And I thought, well, for obvious reasons, that a compass with travel and all the rest of it would be a really good sort of insignia to have built into the pavement outside the airport. So, yeah, I hope you like that. Just check I've got them all in the right place. Yep. Just think of the complaints. Yeah, so I think those walls and fences were worth being very rigid for, because without getting the spacing right, they'd be rubbish. And I think they're definitely better than those very thick and kind of view obstructing black fence pieces that were the alternative. Because if we had them, we really wouldn't be able to see the scenes inside quite so clearly. And I think that that is a real benefit for us. So good. Very happy with that. Good, good. Right, on to the rest of the paving out the front. Right, so it seems I must have had enough tiles in my pick a brick order. In fact, I had a few too many, so I must have erred on the side of caution. But I've got this interesting kind of zigzag pattern, which is more ornate for my pavement or sidewalk right in front of my airport building than you'd usually see elsewhere. But that's just to make it more interesting. More of a contrast, really, against the dark grey that's inside the airport and the roof, which is pretty grey after all as well. So yeah, it's looking pretty good, I think. Good contrast to the fencing as well. And I've put in quite a few different minifigure scenes. So if we start at this end, I've put in a cop with an Alsatian dog, sort of German Shepherd, which they often have for security purposes. And then further along, there's a jumper there because I didn't want to forget adding the second person who is waving. He's got a wonderful classic airport torso there with a wheelie case. But yeah, this person is the one who's waving at the boy who is in the jetway. So that is the pair there. Maybe they know each other, because with this guy having a bag as well, he must have got off a flight or something like that, rather than just dropped somebody off. And then I've got the Skydiver from the recent Hidden Side set, so maybe she is off to do a skydive in a plane. We do know that Brick Nottingham has an active skydiving scene because we've got the skydivers coming out of that plane up there. Then I decided to use the newsstand, but just to put it outside now. So that's just what was in that space inside, transferred out here. So that's looking good, I think. And then I wanted lots of people to look like they'd come back from holiday. So here is the Season 20 Pinata Boy. And obviously with his sombrero and poncho and things like that, maybe he has just come back from holiday in Mexico. Now we had John McClane before, from Die Hard, well, all the Die Hards, but Die Hard 2 specifically was an airport. And then I thought I'd bring in this wonderful chap who's clearly just arrived in the country, probably from Africa if we look at the national dress. And he's Kingsley Shacklebolt from the second series of Harry Potter minifigures with 2 suitcases. And I've yellowed him up just so he matches everyone else in the city. I do that with pink minifigures and brown ones. It's definitely not just brown ones. And then I thought I'd have a queue for the taxis, because this taxi rank is much like the one outside my station. So taxis would come in at one end and then go along here, pick somebody up and then go out the other end, and cars dropping people off and so on. But there is the taxi sign there. You can see that trans green piece which says taxi, or maybe you can't. Let me pull it off. So that's from some really old lighting sets. It's a trans green brick. So I'll just pop that back on its posts. Yeah, so I thought that would be where people queued for a taxi. So I've got 2 people who've just come back from a snowboarding holiday. So we've got the Series 5 male snowboarder at the front there, and the Series 3 female snowboarder at the back, still wearing part of their kit, board in hand and suitcase as well. I've changed some of the boards out just because I wanted to use their boards in the snow sports shop. So just given them some different ones. And then we've also got the Series 3 pilot, who's the sort of really fun mustachioed sort of goggles type, Biggles type character. And he's queuing for a taxi as well to get back into town, presumably. And then further on, I think we had him at the restricted area door. So he's just typing in the code to get in there, but it's all tiled around there. And then we've got another adventurer with monocle and all the rest of it. Oh, focus on the right thing. There we are, with a wheelie case coming from this direction as well. And that's because around this side, pretty much there, I'm planning to do an airport hotel. And that'll be quite tall, sort of facade, I suppose, up against that wall. And that'll just tie in with the whole airport area now and be very useful for setting the scene for that area as well, because I don't want to use this space here for an airport because I've got big plans for this large space here. So that's kind of reserved. This little bit here of grey in front of the fencing is going to be hopefully where we're going to link up with the extended monorail station and line that is going to come from all the way from the station. So yeah, there's quite a lot to fit in. So the hotel using this kind of otherwise useless corner seems like a very sensible idea. Now, I do want to continue this tiling up into this area, across here where I plan to put a bus stop, and even here as well, where I might put a tree, or I might put a tree at that side. I'm not sure, or maybe two trees. But it's going to get all paved up, so we won't have this weird line between sort of grey and green. It'll actually cover this up. We'll still see some of the green over here, so it won't be lost. But yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. And it's a really interesting and busy scene now, with lots of people coming and going, arriving from foreign places, and departing as well to who knows where. So yeah, really good scene. Like it a lot. Okay, so there's the island done. Next part of the setup. And it's my standard Lego bus stop with a few pieces from the high-speed passenger train 60051, being that red and white sign and the map there. We've got some from the City Corner set that we mentioned earlier, 7641, being those bus ones. The bus stop blue sign is from the People Pack 60134. This is testing me, isn't it? The other bus sign, which I also have, is from the, City Square set, 60097. And this is a new one for my city. I got it in a brick hall relatively recently. I've got a couple of them. They are clearly no parking, tow away zone signs. And I've got one at both the exit and the entrance to the roadway, because obviously you wouldn't want to park there. That would be quite a security risk. They're from the set Ramp Crash 8198. So a lot of signs there, a lot of stickered pieces, but I think they blend in and add to the complex scene. And I've got one more sort of scene of people set up, which is these two lovely air stewardesses in their uniform, all winking and smiling, lovely hair and makeup. And the apple of their eye is this very cool looking pilot with his sunglasses on. Wouldn't you just know, the pilots always get the beautiful ladies, so lucky them. But yeah, there he is with his swanky wheelie case. Don't know if he's walking to the bus stop. He's probably less cool than they think if he's getting the bus rather than having his own car, but nonetheless, I'm sure he can afford it. But that is where I'm going to leave this wonderful airport for the moment. I think it's largely done. As I say, I will add some probably trees to these two bits, but I can do, say, that area when I do the hotel, and I can do that area when I do the monorail station, which will hopefully sort of come up roughly over where the Hulk train is now, and have some stairs down into this area, and that can be where these people are walking to, like that guy. But yeah, I think that airport is looking rather fantastic. I think the biggest success is the security wall with these wire pieces. I think that works really well. The Windsock looks really fun as well on top. We've got a very interesting walkway with loads of mini scenes, with the taxi pulling up and all the rest of it, and that lovely compass points in the tiles on the floor. And I do love Kingsley Shacklebolt. He's looking absolutely great. Really happy to be arriving in Brick Nottingham. The newsstand does look better outside, and lots more interesting people before it cuts out. And then the front, this is exactly how I pictured it, with a nice bus stop on and lots of street lights and so on. In that respect, it very much mirrors what we've got outside the front of the city station, which is here with this bus stop and the actual bus itself and all the street lights and that taxi rank as well. So we've actually got 5 taxis. Those are the 4 we had already. Since then, I've found another one. I did already have that actually. So when I was bringing them out one by one, I could have brought out the 5th one, but I really couldn't find it. But anyway, I've found it since. So that probably should be pulling up to the first snowboard already, shouldn't it? There we go. So do tell me what you think. But I think that might be our airport finished. Now, after filming that take and then filming the final sort of summary and close down, I realised I forgot to add the, well, very important ingredient of a plane taking off. So this plane won't appear in the final shots just because I've done them kind of out of order. But here we go. Ooh, hey, there is the plane from the set 60104 airport taking off at quite a sharp angle with all of its landing gear still out, obviously, but coming straight out of the wall. And that is to represent obviously a plane taking off from a runway that's deep through the wall in a part of the city that we can't see. And it's obviously gaining height to join the others up around the top of the Lego room. But I think that'll look really good from a lot of different angles. So there we are looking that way across the rest of the city. And we'll be able to see that really interestingly and well from the door to the Lego room. And I picked this one to do this for just because it's a bit smaller than some of the other bigger ones, but also because it's really interesting colours. So I think it's a good one to have in this position. But yeah, it looks very much in motion. I think you'll agree. So if we try and get that in the same shot as the airport, there we go. Now, how could that not be an airport? You just couldn't mistake it, could you? So tell me what you think of that as well. And then we'll go to the close and the summary without this plane in it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome Lego videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it, the details of which are in the video's description. Maybe you could do your Christmas shopping of Amazon using my affiliate link, or maybe you could do your Black Friday shopping as well from the Lego store link. Anyway, next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a brick haul as usual on Wednesday. And then on Friday, I'm trying to decide whether I want to start my new big series, which will be based on my Power Functions secret building, which will include unveiling what that is, or if I want to do a few more little things before embarking on such another big project. But let me know if you've got a strong preference. Do let me know if you've got any comments or suggestions of what we've done today. But until then, otherwise, see you!